think I'm still young enough to where I may be able to sign up for it, according to you. But
please make contact. Please make contact. Coming up, like she's doing the Carlton dance and thing. I was like, hey, no. That's what I told her. Okay, she's not going to see this, right? Okay.
She won't. We'll edit that out.
Welcome to this episode of the Golf Sit Down.
We welcome Paul Brown, Academy Director at Cypress Lakes in Fayetteville, North Carolina, as our guest this week. We're excited to chat with him about his journey as a coach, the students that he's helped, and his decorated background to get to this point. Paul, could you share with us, I think it'd be great for the audience to hear, you have like a non-traditional way of getting into the coaching. Could you talk about maybe your background in the military and your desire to get into golf coaching?
But of course. So my background in the military, I spent the last almost 30 years in the military as a logistics support officer, stationed here in Fayetteville for 23 of most of those years. My educational background, I have an undergrad in criminal justice and I have an MBA in intel and security. So I was going to go into homeland security, and as I retired, I was like, I really don't want to work too hard, but I want to enjoy the rest of my days with my wife and family. So, you know that old saying, you can either go fishing or go golfing. So I jumped knee deep into golfing, and I pursued my education at Keiser University School of Golf for a 4-year program and got my degree in golf management. And I did my internship down there as well in Florida. And as I had an opportunity to meet you, of course, at Keith Hills during my senior year, I was doing a paper on developmental programs in golf, and I chose Op 36. And in choosing Op 36, I did receive a great grade for there. And I had another opportunity to see you down in Florida, and he said there was an opportunity opened up for us here in Fayetteville as we opened up King's Grand about 3 years ago. And I did my lumps as assistant golf coach at King's Grand, and then the opportunity came up here in Fayetteville or Hope Mills area at Cypress Lakes Golf Course to be the Academy Director here. So in short, that's my journey on how I became an Academy Director of Golf for Op 36.
well, Paul, we certainly thank you for all your service in the military. Did you take up golf after being in the military? Was golf part of your background as a kid? Was there any key players in your life that kind of made you look into golf?
Well,
how did you get started there?
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where, as an officer, you know, we have to have different various meetings, and the colonel and the general's like, hey, we're going to have our officer professional development. They didn't want to do it on a racquetball court, and back in the early 90s, it was, hey, we're going to go on a golf course and meet. And me being from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we didn't do a whole lot of golf up north, but I started playing and I just fell in love with the game. And it's one of those things that I thought it would be beneficial to go a little bit deeper and understand the game. And like you said before, when I thought I was going to be taking it a little bit easier, the love of the game is not slowing me down for some reason. It's like giving back to the community through golf is one of the things that we always wanted to do once we retired, was not just serve our country and then go back and sit on the porch and drink lemonade and talk about old war stories and stuff like that. Well, guess what? I can go back to the golf course and teach those kids what we learned about leadership and being the best person that they can be through life and through the game of golf.
Paul, I want to read a quote from one of your students. It says, Coach Paul is unique from every other golf coach. He has the ability to reach and inspire all students. He has endless patience, encouragement, and support to give. You have an interesting background in that you didn't start golf early. You started it later. And we joke around about this sometimes too. Like, you're not the strongest golfer as a coach that maybe some other coaches are, but you're actually more successful, in my opinion, in reaching these students than other players or other coaches, that are good players. What do you think is your superpower in connecting with these students? Because honestly, I look from a distance, and sometimes I go on site to visit you. You are fantastic at what you do as a coach. Could you comment on maybe what is your superpower?
I think what my superpower is understanding your student or understanding the person that you're working with. It's never been about, look what I can do. I can hit the ball 300 yards or something like that. Well, the student doesn't care that you can hit the ball 300 yards. The student cares about you showing them how they can hit it 300 yards or how they can hit it 50 yards. Most students be like, hey, I just want to make contact. Please make contact. Please make contact. And then you feel for them and you let them know that it is feasible. Every time that I get a lead, the first question I ask is, how's your golf game? And they're ready to spill the beans, and then spilling the beans, they say, well, I could do this and I can do that, and that's what I key on. I don't key on the deficiencies that they don't have, but I key on the strengths that they have, and we just work from there and then make them a little bit stronger.
Yeah, that's really cool, Paul. I think that your story is extremely encouraging to anybody that has been in a profession and maybe wants to take up golf as a second career like you have. One of the things that I think is really neat, and honestly you inspire me a lot in this regard too, is because you came to golf so late, you're kind of in the honeymoon phase of golf yourself. Like the love of playing, the love of trying to get better. Sometimes us as golf coaches, and I'm sure Ryan will agree with me here, sometimes we get, maybe jaded's not the right word, but like playing golf is not always like on the forefront of our minds, the love of playing the game. Like sometimes we get in these ruts where it's like, oh man, I don't even want to think about playing golf. I've been doing so much coaching. But I think one of your superpowers right now is you're in, like, you have such a passion for playing golf yourself that is so infectious to your students. And so with that being said, like, what are some ways that you continue to keep that up? Because since I've known you, you've been the most enthusiastic person probably on our team about golf, about playing, about getting better yourself. So what are some ways that you keep that going?
Well, being from Pittsburgh and coming from a humble means, one thing that my mom always taught me was to respect what you have and never take it for granted. So even when dealing with folks that come from similar backgrounds or even come from different backgrounds, it's respect that very moment. And that's what most golfers, have to realize, that each time that they swing a club, is respect that very moment. And then you can go back to it, sort of kind of like a drug, you get that high because guess what? I just hit a 72, or I just hit a 83, but I've been hitting 116, 120, and they're like, wow. And you see that light bulb turn on. That's the thing that really gives me that drive, is say, okay, each one of my students had their own little light bulb, and it doesn't diminish from the other students because I know how hard that student worked, and I'm going to work with them individually. I work with them as a group, as a class, but each one of them know that I'm watching them as they grow. Like this one little girl, she could never make contact with the ball. She was always coming up like she's doing the Carlton dance and thing. I was like, hey, no, we're gonna we're gonna bring it down a little bit further. And I guess in the last 6 months, she's passed the 25 yards, which I was surprised. And her parents were like, wow, okay, all right. That's great, and that's what I look for too, as well.
Paul, looking through your portal, looks like Ellie Ray Sheets has been a hard worker in your program. I see that she's lost 24 strokes. She's practiced quite a bit. I think she's at level 3. Maybe if you could comment on this particular student, and looks like she's pretty motivated. She posts quite often. Maybe she'd be a good story to talk about.
Well, Ellie Ray, actually, she was the December student
Okay.
golfer of the month for Cypress Lakes. And being a student golfer of the month, she was part of the Under Armour Junior Tour for her age group, and she has just been steadfast on improving. Her dad plays golf, and actually, when every student was like, "Yeah, it's a little bit cold, I'm not coming out," and this is just this past Monday. I'm not coming to class. Guess who was there at class? Ellie Ray. And those are the things that I look forward to is keeping me going when I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't feel well. I'm not going to class. I'm going to have to call in. Nope. It's those students like Ellie Ray that really pushes me and motivates me to walk out that door and go back to the golf course and see what we can do to improve her game. And so she's only in middle school, but she's looking at playing high school golf, and she's very well on her way.
That's amazing. Yeah, there's always 5 or 10% of the hardest workers that you really just cling to and want to focus on and continue to that really give you a ton of energy to get back out there. So, Paul, you were on a webinar with me not too long ago, and we talked a lot about getting out in the community. And I don't know if there's anybody better about getting out in the community and sharing your love for golf and what you are doing at Cypress Lakes. I don't know if I know anyone that does as good of a job. I think I recently saw you on Facebook outside of Academy Sports in Fayetteville, sharing the good word of Op 36 and your academy. So, what are some of the things that you are currently doing or have done in the past to get out in the community versus just sending out marketing through your facility?
I think one of the hardest things that any of the golf coaches at any of the academies have is marketing and also stepping out of their comfort zone. I'm comfortable sitting in front of my computer and sending out a flyer and say, okay, please come to my academy. Yeah, that's basic. Now, what I do is because I'm always in the community and I'm always talking, I'm always going to Dick's Sporting Goods. I don't know how many things I bought from Dick's Sporting Goods, and also Academy Sports. You know, them in the golf section. I said, hold on a second, let me talk to their manager. And I've known their manager for quite some time because I've been here for quite some years. I said, hey, so we have this junior tour for Under Armour, and it's for the city of Fayetteville. And it's not about any particular golf course or anything like that because we go to all the golf courses. This is about promoting golf and getting golf out to our community where we can reach kids because that's where most of the talent comes from that untapped talent versus, hey, we're going to go to a particular golf course. We know there's going to be golfers there. Well, guess what? What about those who didn't even think they could possibly have a chance of playing golf? And those are the hidden gems. And next thing you know, they're coming up and they're like, hey, you got a business card. And I'll pass them my business card. So I set up a table and ask permission. The only thing that they have, only request is they say, hey, don't be in front of the door like you passing out, you know what I mean, flyers for the church or something. Nah, I'm off to the side. But one thing I did have was the Jordan Spieth flyer banner and also 36 banner. So the table is set up where if you come to me, I'll answer the question for you. I won't come to you, but I have on such the bright colors of the Op 36 orange. You know, they were like, hey, who's that down there? They come down like, hey, I want to get my child into golf. And that's another thing. When I go to church, you run into a whole lot of folks that play golf and they're like, hey, I want to get my kid into golf. And that's how we came up with some of the great work that we do within the community with some of the projects where I see some of the, what are they called? Rec centers, where they have the summer programs. They have maybe 30, 40, 50 kids that have never experienced golf. So I coordinate with our golf pro at Cypress Lakes, and it's like, we can do this. And I was like, hey, no problem. So that really transferred into maybe possibly getting a student to join our academy or even just joining golf. That's a plus. And so that's how I do it. I really just spread the word. I always have in my bag with me either a keychain to give out or a business card to give out, something to let them know, hey, this is my business card. Come see me when you get a chance. And we can take a look at your swing and we'll see what we can do. And that's how we get it. So I get more private lessons in academy students, but we're working on that for 2025 to get more academy students to join this year.
That's great, Paul. It was great to see that post. I have never stood out front of a Dick's Sporting Goods or an academy before. When I saw that, I was like, man, this guy is a go-getter. He cares about the student, and that was awesome to see. From my perspective, I think it was a year ago, it might have been a year and a half ago. It was an amazing experience that Paul put together for not only the families in Fayetteville, and I'll let you talk about this a little bit more, but also my family. Paul invited us down, my 3 kids and my wife, to watch and observe. I think it was your fraternity that you put it together with, and the police academy, I think, of Fayetteville. I could be wrong on this, but anyway, when I drove down, I told my boys, I said, and my daughter, I said, hey, we're going to go down to Fayetteville. We're going to support Coach Paul. And they kept asking on the ride down, what is this? What is this? What is this? And my wife said the same thing. I said, we're just going to go down and support Coach Paul. Well, we drive into the golf club, and there are uniformed police officers everywhere. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I getting into? And there's tons of people everywhere at the facility. I go park. The family, we walk out. We see something golf is going on. We see a lot of kids. And then I see Coach Paul. And I'm like, hey, what is going on here? He says, well, if you'll just do a quick intro, I'll show you what we've been doing. And I did a quick intro, and it was amazing. You had all these stations set up. I don't remember the number of people that you got involved. I'll let you comment on that. But I was so impressed, Paul, with your ability to get out in the community, to use all your resources, and to get, I think most of these kids would not have had an opportunity to play golf without that, right?
That is true. What we have is the Sigma Pi Phi fraternity. I call them the nice guys because they coordinate with the PGA, and we do the collaboration with the whole community, the whole city of Fayetteville, and we also coordinated with the universities here as well as the Fayetteville Police Department. And what we did was we did a program where we do, I don't want to call it free golf, but an experience in golf. And in that experience of golf, we had over 110 students during that one day. And in that one day, what I did was broke it down, train the trainer. We had various areas where they were on the range, they were on the putting green, they were doing the short game, they were playing games throughout the whole course throughout that day. And what happened is further on now, or should I say further down the line, each year we have anywhere from 50 to 75 students. Like I had 50 last fall, and I'm starting it this spring as well. 50 students to come experience golf, or more than 50 to come experience golf at Cypress Lakes. So it's a great intro to so many kids, and that's what I really love about the game. First, I'd like to thank you, Ryan, for giving me the opportunity to spread golf here in the city of Fayetteville, and giving those folks, the parents, the kids, the experience of golf, and the knowledge that I can impart with them.
Yeah, Paul, that's extremely powerful. Well, I have a 2-part question for you, and I kind of want to go back to, your story of golf being a second career. For most people, I think that would be extremely intimidating. Have a 30-year career in the military, retiring, saying, I think I want to coach golf now. I have not very much experience playing, and I haven't been trained to teach. Like, I think that would, for me, if I was in your shoes, that would be extremely intimidating. I would be very scared to take action. So I want to know, when you make that decision to step into the golf world, what's going through your mind? And then also on the Op 36 side, how has Op 36 helped you kind of close that skill gap as a coach? And I really want you to comment on coaches who may be scared because they don't think that they have all the knowledge of golf that they need. Like, how can Op 36 help that coach, similar to how it's helped you get started?
Well, I tell you, Seth, one of the biggest things is not to be afraid. One thing that I did have is age and experience. And having age and experience is leadership. It's something that you learn over a period of time, and you can apply it to anything that you do. You have experience in being a parent. So therefore, just because I get a new child in, that means I can take that learned experience from the resources around me. And I have great resources from you to Ryan to other coaches that I can lean on. If I'm coaching, every time that I coach, I take a little bit out of each learning session and I apply it to what I can do for myself, and internally apply that each day that I'm out there on the course. So the kids and the adults that I'm teaching, they understand that, golf isn't an exact. It's one of those things that it's always learning. You're always having growth, and so in that growth, you don't just stop and say, "Okay, I have a degree in golf and I'm a coach," and then that's it. No, as human beings, we evolve. And before, when I first started, I knew I was shooting, uh, I don't know, high 90s. Now I'm 80, and now I want to. My goal is to get that 80 and below mark. And the thing is, they're like, "Well, you can do it." I'm like, "Well, thank you. You can do it too." So it's sort of like the student leans on the coach, and the coach leans on the student because they're not expecting you to be the perfect golfer. Because you can have a whole lot of golfers that shoot 68, 75, or 68 or 66 or whatever it is, but they are the worst teachers because it's never been about you personally. It's always been about the student. You have to make it about the student. Anything that you do, not just say, hey, ask them, hey, Seth, what type of learner are you? Are you auditory? Are you visual? Help me be a better coach for you. And I think I ask that question every single time that I have a session with a student, whether it be an adult or a child, is, hey, I need one up, one down, and how can I be a better coach for you? And it's never the same answer from each of the students. And I take that to heart and was like, okay, you know what, Paul? You probably want to not talk so much and let them apply what they're learning. Or you probably want to talk a little bit more to bring them out of their shell because with golf, it can be very threatening and they can be really, really shy until they get comfortable and you're talking their language. You know what I mean? It's not that you're trying to demean them or anything like that. Be like, oh my goodness, did you go to the gym or something like that because they hit a kind of a weak shot or something like that? They're like, okay, I see you, coach. That's how you relate, and that's how it makes me a better coach because I'm always learning. I'm always seeking information to be the best coach for all my students.
Paul, if somebody asked me, having known you over the years, like what is Paul's superpower, I would immediately say his ability to get people to believe in themselves, that with effort, with commitment to something, they can get better at it. That would be the first thing I would say immediately. Why do you think you're so good at that? Or maybe actually go from the angle of if you had to coach another coach or help somebody else get somebody else to believe in themselves, what would you coach them on? I just think you're so good at that.
Do you remember that old saying, Ryan? And I know you probably told your son this: "Don't do as I do, do as I say do." Yeah, that's not that's not a good term that we use for helping them. That's
Okay.
not what I'm going to do. What I like to do is show them the result of patience and understanding versus just telling the student what you want them to do. But after you tell them what you want them to do, you have to make sure that they understand what you're saying. And I think we went through this a couple of times, Seth, during our coaching thing, where you can't just tell the student that you want something done without showing them and making sure that they understand what you're trying to say. What you say, sometimes less talking is better. So therefore, you give them a chance to show you that they understand what you mean by, hey, I want your swing path to be like this, or I want your center of contact to be exact once you're going through the ball at P4, P1, P2, whatever you have. And if they understand that, then guess what? You're going to be a success. But if they don't understand that, you have to back it up a little bit until they understand it's not a race because we learn golf every day for how many years? Seth, you've been in golf for what, 15, 20 years now?
Not quite that long, close to 15.
Oh, you're not, oh, I forgot, you're not old, my bad. And I know Ryan's been in the golf industry for quite some time. So, each student that you've taught earlier is different than the ones that you're teaching now. That's a good picture right there. We had a great amount of folks
Yeah,
in
that was
that
your
one.
group. Maybe, Seth,
That
I'll
was
go to
the
you for the
group.
next one after this, but maybe comment. I think we had some university kids in Fayetteville there helping. They were videotaping. We see a cop in the back. There's all the students in the middle. The gentleman that helped you, Dr. Ed, a couple out there. folks. We might have even had Miss Fayetteville there. I'm not sure what that one was.
We did have Miss Fayetteville, and then we also had the chief
That's
of
right.
police.
That's right.
And also the deputy mayor was there as well. One of the things that I like to do is to do a lot of collaboration with the Cumberland County public school system of getting golfers through the public schools, because most of the time that you see and most people understand that, there she is, that's the chief of police. One thing that we have is the opportunity. And some of the kids that are in public school don't have the same opportunity as those that are in private schools. So when you look at the competition, you know what you're going to see, because all the private schools compete against each other. You know, Fayetteville Christian, you know, those different types of schools compete against each other. But if you look at public schools, they don't have the resources. So what I try to do is, for those schools that are in my surrounding areas, whether it be Grace Creek High School or Southview or any of those schools that have the minimal means, I will provide help with the coach and say, hey, anything that you need to get those kids to be in that competitive stage where they're not being constantly third or in fourth place during the city championships, and then they have to go play those that their parents invest in everything, you know, from the private lessons to the proper equipment and things like that. You want to be able to make sure that they're competitive with the skill set. So, like you said, sometimes it's not even just the equipment, it's just the energy and the skill set to want to play and be a better golfer. That is the tool right there. And you're helping so many kids within the community be able to reach their goal of being a competitive golfer.
So, Paul, I think we probably have one or two questions left before we wrap up. I'm really curious because clearly you have a pretty profound impact on the students that you coach. If you had to choose the number one lesson you've learned in your very young life that you bring to the lesson tee every day that helps you have an impact on your players.
Honestly, stop. I know you're going to be like, what? Every time that I come up to the course or I'm getting ready to go into a lesson, I stop and say, what type of day am I having? And then I'll say, what type of day am my student having? Or my students as a class are having. So therefore, you kind of rub off and you want to keep that positive attitude, even when you're having a bad day. Like, I swear I told my wife to make sure that my dinner was ready, or else there was going to be some smoke. Yeah, that's what I told her. Okay, no, she's not going to see this, right? Okay. All right. You can edit that out. No. Actually, yeah. Just stop and think about how you're making that student feel good about their game, feel good about their practice for the day, and let them go home with a better feeling than what they came with. And that's what the intent is, whether it's a private lesson or whether it's the academy class. I want that child or adult, whoever it is, to go away feeling better than when they started the lesson. Because some people can go back confused, like, what was he talking about? I have no idea. I just spent the whole hour and I didn't get anything out of it. And that's where you have to reevaluate, and that's why that same question every lesson. One up, that means I want to sustain and I want to do well. One down, where I can work a little bit on my swing path, or how can I be a better coach for you? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to speed up? Or do I need to show you each of the shots, or can you show me, or we'll trade off? Those are the things that makes a good coach, and I think that's what makes you an effective coach as well.
People will forget what you say, but they won't forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
Wow,
There you go.
Ryan,
that's pretty good, Paul. From a young person like Seth, that's pretty good, isn't it?
I know, not bad, there, little fella.
I tried.
So, Paul, you may not know this, but when Seth and I travel and Michael travel around the country and now the world now doing Op 36 certification, we use you as a role model in those certifications. We talked to the coaches. We did that in Bermuda recently about how effective you are at what you do. Did not know if you knew that, but we do. And I would love to know, because I feel like your first part of your coaching career has been successful. What would you say if we talked to you 3 years from now or 5 years from now? What would you want success to look like for you in dedicating as much time, effort, and energy you are to this? What is success to Paul in 5 years as a golf coach?
So in the military, we used to have this thing called the 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and you make sure that you are on track for your next promotion and you're doing everything that you're supposed to. My next 3-year plan is to ensure that I'm available. When I say I'm available, meaning that I'm still on the same track that I'm on now and improving the bandwidth of the reach within my community, and also include my bandwidth and reach within the golfing community, so that I don't want them just to see that it's on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. I don't want them to just see that. I want them to be able to reach out and say, "Hey, Paul, hey, I got this situation in my community. What can I do?" I want to be able to give them advice and have that growth through there. So it's one of those things is I can't take it with me. When I retire again, I don't want to just be sitting on the porch talking about, yeah, back in 2024. No. Back in 2024, I did this, but no, it can continue.
If a coach is in that situation right now, Paul, and they're listening to this, or they hear Seth or Michael and I talk about your journey and how you're a role model to these young coaches, what's the best way for them to reach out to you? How do you want them to connect with you?
You can reach out to me on my regular email at paul@op36golf.com. Or you can reach out to me at my regular phone number at 910-494-42. Or you can reach out to the Cypress Lakes Golf Course. They'll definitely send a message to me. And I'll be happy to collaborate and we can help grow this game of golf.
Paul, before I wrap this up, if somebody was to look for you on social media, because you post a lot of great content, a lot of really great videos teaching, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me at Cypress Lakes Golf Course or Cypress Lake Op36 Golf Academy on Facebook. So yeah, you can reach me at Paul Brown on Facebook. I know there's a lot of Paul Brown, but you have to look for the Op36 logo because that's all I do is promote golf, 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 golf. So come on through, come by and join our academy program here, Op36 developmental program here at Cypress Lake Golf Course. I'm your academy director, Paul Brown, and you definitely can reach me at paul@op36golf.com, or you can reach me at 472-210-2636. Thank you, guys.
Paul, that was a really nice plug. I think I'm still young enough to where I may be able to sign up for it, according to you. But Paul, thank you so much for being a part of this. We're really lucky to have you.
Hey, thank you
We're
guys
really
so
lucky
much.
to have you on the team. Very lucky to have you representing the Op36 brand. And we also know that your families and students are extremely lucky to have you at Cypress Lakes as well. So thank you for your time. There's a lot of really good nuggets in this podcast, and can't wait to watch it back.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I appreciate the opportunity.